It's 12 o'clock in Frisco, Texas, and it's time for Smoker Broker Radio with Robert Mesh, a.k.a. the Smoker Broker. Robert is the owner of Small World Realty and has employed hundreds of real estate agents in his 17-year career. He has instructed and mentored over 10,000 real estate agents at the highly acclaimed Champions School of Real Estate and is considered an expert in Texas residential realty. Robert is also an advocate of true entrepreneurial spirit and has helped many to transition from corporate America into the world of self-employment. And now live from the studio to your world, the Smoker Broker.
Hey, welcome to Smoker Broker. I'm Robert Mesh, and I'm the guy they call Smoker Broker, wherever it is over here. I wear it all the time. I know how to co-brand more than anybody, so that's why I always have that on. Everybody thinks because I like the name. I'm like, no, it's a good co-brand to the company I run. And co-branding is good for real estate. We teach it. We should practice it. We should preach it, and I do all the time. Happy Thursday. I hope everything's going well. It's raining in Dallas. It continues to rain. It rained enough to ruin another barbecue competition, as if we haven't had enough of that. We had to cancel the one this weekend. So a lot of people who are asking me that we're planning on going, I posted yesterday, we will not be having that one. We will be looking for our next one here. I know we are going to have quite a few over the summer. So no worries there, but that does suck that we had to cancel that one. Yeah, it's funny. There's not much going on in current events with everything around us. We continue to stay in the same type of market where we have a shortage of inventory and lots of buyers, and we continue this struggle. And that's what our conversations really are based upon each week, on how we're encountering that and what we're doing to fix those types of things. So nothing's changed there. We're going to continue those subjects and how those things affect us. Now, I was listening to our intro. We got probably time to update our intro. It talks about like 10,000 students. I'm probably somewhere at 25 or 30,000 these days, and it's not 17 years now. It's probably like more like 21. So we probably need to change that thing in there. I just realized it's amazing how many people you see over the years when you are in the instruction business, how many people come through, which is awesome because you meet a lot of people and you get a different perspective on what real estate is. You know, honestly, I always tell everybody the instruction part of real estate is really what helped me to become a better broker. You get to see a lot when you are teaching, and the people that you meet and the things that they bring up and the scenarios that come across. So I love the fact in our intro we talk about all those people I've met at some point or another, because one, it's true, and the numbers are really large with the amount of people that go through us. But it does help us to become better at what we do and more precise in what we tell people because we learn from others as well. I think some of the greatest teachings that I get are from the students that I have. They bring up points that I'm like, I didn't know that. Now, anybody who knows me in class, if there's something I don't know, I promise you I'll never go, oh, yeah, I had no idea. I'll make something up and act like I knew it, and then I'll go back and start flipping through a book going, was that right? And start studying it to make sure that I knew. But that's what's great about teaching. You learn from that. So I love the intro. There's a lot of truth to that. And we continue to let teaching be a part of what we do. It actually is it is a part of our regular procedures on a week-to-week basis to be involved in that type of stuff. So today we're going to talk about a subject that I think is important, not so much for the current market that we are in, but more for the mistakes that are going to be made. And we've always kind of politely told for sale by owners, hey, I don't think that that's the right thing for you to do. But now more than ever, we are absolutely going to talk about the dangers a for sale by owner is entering by trying to sell in this market, because they can easily be costing themselves $50,000 to $100,000 right now. And if there was ever a time that you use a real estate agent, now's the time. So for today's show, not only is it for new agents, it's also for existing agents, managers, and team leads to start pressing these people that we know that are out there that are trying to do this. I would absolutely listen to what we talked about today, because we're going to make some points, because we thought them through quite a bit. And we're going to make some points out there that really should help you when you're dealing with a for sale by owner in such a way that we should be able to encourage them that that is not the right thing to do. In fact, I think if you do it right, this might be the first time in the history of real estate that you can convince a for sale by owner that they absolutely should want to pay us, because the amount of money that they pay us is nothing to the amount of money they're going to lose with today's market if they don't know what they're doing. So we're going to have a really good conversation about that. I don't think anybody's going to go away today with something that without a bit of knowledge that they didn't have before. As always, I have my buddy over there, Brent, a super smart guy. That's why he's on the show. Smarter than I am, probably knows more than I do, and keeps up with everything in real estate a lot better at his age than I ever was, and a good friend as well. So we are going to go through this, and we're going to talk about trying to help you navigate when you're dealing with these types of people. Brent, before I get into that, we were talking before. Is there something that I'm missing that's out there that it's big on the horizon? I don't think there is. It was really a slow media week as far as real estate goes. I didn't see anything that was affecting.
Yeah,
I guess we
I
could
mean,
talk about Dogecoin or whatever, Dogecoin, whatever the hell it's
Dogecoin.
called.
I think we're also more worried about what's going to happen with inflation that we're seeing and what rates are
Right.
going to do in the future, because that is a pressing thing. You can go buy like a jar of nuts at the store and it's the same price it always was, but if you look at the underside, it's indented up there and you get a lot less product. So inflation is rampant, and
Yeah,
I think the only way that the government will combat it is to raise interest rates.
Yeah, it's a common sense factor in basic economics that if you print more money, you have to raise it. The money has to become more expensive to get. You can't just keep printing. If that was the money, we would never have anybody would live.
Are you still there? Hello? All right, well, I think we lost Robert for a second. I couldn't tell if it was my connection or not. So what he was saying is this common sense that, when money print too much, then they have to make it more expensive to get, and they've been printing a lot of money with the stimuluses and everything. There he is. He's back.
Sorry about that. I don't know what the hell happened. I just blanked away and I'm talking away. Sometimes I have to be careful. If I start looking away, I don't even know it's off. And I'm like, I've been talking to myself, which I do quite a bit. So, no, you're right. And it was good that we blanked out there anyways, because it was really your topic. And you're absolutely right. When we start talking about it, you just cannot keep printing money like that all the time. At some point, there's got to be a cost. And here's the thing, and we talk about this a lot. Anybody who's had me lecture or do presentations before, and this is a very different take, and a lot of people are surprised when I talk like this, but you would never think a real estate broker would say that it's good that interest rates go up. Well, I got to tell you, I'm one of those brokers that say it's not a bad thing. We have been living in a fantasy world for way too long. These interest rates make it very difficult for the financial institutions to make money. And if the financial institutions don't make money, they have no interest in giving that money out. So at some point, there has to be a checks and balance system. And I'm of the opinion that things would almost be better if we were at a 6 to an 8% interest rate. I think, yeah, because some people are having a heart attack right now.
This is the guy that just finished refining his house. So now
Hypocrite. We go through, and what you'll find is the housing crisis, and I don't know why we call it a crisis. It's not. Shortage is better. I think the shortage is it's more realistic, and it's true. The housing shortage will immediately go away if interest rates go up. Yep. I'm telling you right now. Everybody who sits there goes, well, what do we do about this? I'm like, it's pretty damn easy. It doesn't take a wizard to figure out. Just push the interest rates up, and that'll cool it down. And I think that's one of the biggest problems in the real estate industry is that the people who are in charge of such monetary policy, they typically don't understand residential real estate. They understand commercial because they're invested in it deeply. But it's the residential that affects the American people. The average Joe is what they call them, and they're the ones that are affected by it. And if you've got someone high on the hill, literally on Capitol Hill, that doesn't understand that, why would they ever bother? They have all the excuses as to why the rates stay low. There's millions of reasons. They claim the house, it's funny. They sit there and they say that the interest rates are key to the housing market to keep it on, to keep it going. I'm like, really? Well, it looks to me like if you cooled it off there, it would make it a little bit easier and more fair, and the playing field would be more level, and we wouldn't have a housing shortage. So I'm not so sure where you're going with that when you say that the rates need to stay low. Now, look, the obvious argument here is, why the hell would you be arguing for people to pay more money? I'm not. We've been paying way too less for the longest time. That's not the way it's supposed to work. I'm sorry, it's not. You're not supposed to be in a house for free. You're supposed to be paying for it. If it's not your money, you're supposed to be paying somebody. That's how investment works. That's how general investment works in this country, is that if you borrow money from somebody, you pay them and they make money on it while you pay it off. And that's not happening right now. We don't live in a charity world. This isn't a charity country. In fact, this country is built on capitalism and profit. So what the hell are we doing right now? It does become the question, what is going on? It's a hypocritical conversation because everybody talks about saving money, spending less money, but there are some situations where maybe it should be a little bit more. Because here's the downside, and it's what Brent was talking about, because he's super sharp as a razor as always. You can keep loving your house payment being at 2% or 3%, but when you start paying $6 or $7 for a gallon of milk every other 2 weeks, and you start paying $4 or $5 a gallon for gas and everything else that you use on a daily basis, we'll see what you think about where it should be, because there's always a counterpunch to this. You don't have to be an expert in finance and accounting. And even though that's my background, you don't have to be an expert. This is pure common sense. It's pure common sense, which is probably why it's so effed up. Because if the easiest thing, it's simple economics, and it cannot be rationalized at a higher level because there's so many other factors they look at and so many other studies that they look at, except the obvious that, hey, look, if you do this, this is going to happen. And if you do this, it'll cool this down.
How soon do you think rates are going to go up?
They are.
How soon? This year?
I'm not embarrassed by many things. Hardly anything, to be honest.
Whoa.
But I mean it. I rarely say anything that I don't.
Get ready for the blade, Mark.
But I have over the last few years. I'm embarrassed. I've said for at least 6 or 7 years they got to go up, and I'll be damned if I've been wrong. Outright, they have just lowered, which is beyond, and probably because it's beyond financial belief that somebody would do it like that.
Yeah.
I do think we have finally reached a point, though. It's got to go. It's just got to go up. One thing's for sure, it can't go lower. You go any lower than it is right now, and you're basically just giving money to anybody for free. And that just doesn't work.
Negative interest rates on my mortgage. That's what I want.
There was a topic about that the other day.
Yeah, pay me to live here.
Up and I was trying to follow it. I'm like, the abacus doesn't go that way.
No.
It's like, I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Uh-oh. Did we lose him again? All right. Well, welcome to Smoker Broker Radio, ladies and gentlemen. So I guess we are going to be talking about FSBOs today. And while we're waiting for Robert to get back, I'm going to go ahead and jump into our sponsors. So our first sponsor is Mr. Martin Cooley with BPG Inspections. He is our go-to home inspector. We, of course, always give our clients a number of inspectors to choose from, but Martin is the inspector we prefer. He is always on time or early, finishes in a timely manner, gets the report to you the same day, and all reports are color-coded. Red for serious issues and blue for minor things to look at. You can always book him at bpginspections.com or reach him at 817-401-3240. And our next sponsor is Greg Holdberg with Liberator Health Insurance. Your simple solution to affordable healthcare is here. Join the Liberator movement and take control of your healthcare. Customize your healthcare plan to fit your healthcare and budget needs. Use any doctor or hospital without a penalty, in or out of network. Teledoc is included in all plans, no annual deductibles, and no copay. As an independent agency, Liberator is committed to transforming healthcare in Texas through innovative healthcare benefits that are affordable and rich in benefits. For more information and to get a quick quote, call or text Greg Holdberg, independent health insurance broker, at 214-886-4688 or visit them at liberatorhealthinsurance.com. So, while we're probably waiting for Robert to restart his computer, I think it's very common today for people to think, okay, the market's crazy hot. It's super easy to sell my house. I might as well just sell it myself and save that commission because it's going to sell. So why would I bother paying a real estate agent? And I think at face value, that kind of makes sense because you're just seeing that the inventory is low. People are, as long as you have a front door, people will just buy your house. There's no standards as far as why, people aren't being very picky when it comes to buying a home. So, maybe you should just do it yourself. But there are a lot of things that could be missing. It could be, and we'll get into it throughout the course of the show, but we could be getting into legal issues, leaving money on the table, logistics, and just a lot of stuff ending up in lawsuits. So the knee-jerk reaction of saying, well, you just want me to list your house with a realtor, so you just want to make commission. Well, yeah, we would like to get paid, but there's a reason that we exist because it's like having an attorney, even though we're not. You wouldn't complain to them about how much money they cost to get through. And I think for what we do, it's worth every penny because we're going to guide you through these issues. Welcome back, Robert.
Yeah, I apologize. It's weird. I come to the office for the first time. I have worse internet here than I do at home. I need to stay at home and do the show. My God.
We already did the sponsors, so we're good.
Oh, great. Awesome. Perfect timing for that. Yeah, I went ahead and switched to the phone. I don't know what the hell the problem with the internet is here, but I went ahead and switched it. So funny, though, being at the office, you would think I'd have better internet process in there. But thanks for doing the sponsors in there. That was a good time. Okay, so great conversation about inflation and what's going on. Very valid. I love that. That was great. I wish I had thought about that earlier. I would have been more prepared for that. I like that conversation, though. So let's talk about what we want the show to be about today, and it's for sale by owner. So one of the more fun conversations that we have. There are so many people out there that believe that they can sell their home. We all know someone. We all know someone who says that they can sell their home. They don't need a real estate agent. The rub is that most real estate agents don't know what they're doing. They're idiots. They just want commissions and money. And, sadly,
True.
That is a perception that a lot of people think of real estate agents. And it can be terribly insulting for those of us that know what it is that we're doing. And to the general public, at least to their credit, a lot of the real estate agents are not very good. This is an industry that we do say that 10% of the people do 90% of the work. So there is some truth to that. But for those of us that do know what we're doing, it's very difficult to accept, especially when we go into topics like this, because this is where we will argue until the end of time that you are not right if you think that you can sell that house the way you need to sell it. Make no mistake, we agree you can sell it on your own. But whether you think that that's going to be the right way to do it, or that's the best way to do it, is a far different conversation. Brent,
why? Or should?
Yeah. What is the number one reason somebody wants to sell their house by themselves?
Because they want to save on commission.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they don't want to pay some agent 3% of the value of their house, or they want to save that 3% for themselves, which makes sense.
Yeah, right. We were just talking about financial sense and common sense, and if you look at the bare bones and you look how much a realtor costs, you're like, why would I do that if I can sell it on my own? So in its basic concept, they're right. Mm-hmm. Financially, it's better to sell their house. But that's the easy way to look at it. And it is the way too simplistic way to look at it. Because we know that this is a far more difficult conversation. We know that there are way too many factors that affect the sale of that home. Now, I'm talking about in normal times. I'm talking about in times where we're not in this type of market, that this can be a problem. Now we're going to put that on steroids and really discuss what's happening with these people. And I will tell you where this topic came from this week, or for today, why it came through this week. There were several conversations about for sale by owners. And as I'm talking to my agents, our agents, as I'm talking to our agents, and I'm reasoning with myself, it hit me too. I'm like, there's a message that we should be sending right now, and we are not doing it. So that's why I got excited about this topic, and I'm going to want our guys to especially watch it, and anybody else out there, because we have takeaways on this show. We're about to give you some huge takeaways to deal with these type of people, and that might just win you some of these real estate deals. So I want that to be the punchline for the show today. I want to save that. I want to save the best for last, because there's a big reason why we need to do this more than ever right now. And I will give you a hint. It is going to be because of the volatility of the market and how high or low a house can go, that you literally could lose 10 to hundreds of thousands of dollars if you don't know what you're doing. Okay. And the punchline there is going to be, if you're screwing around worrying about paying a 4 or 5 or 6% commission versus losing 50 to 100,000, then we need to reassess what basic math is. Okay. So we're going to talk about that. All right. In general, when it comes to dealing with the for sale by owner, one of the first things they'll say is, you guys don't do anything. Now, we can talk for hours about what it is that we do. We don't even need to do that to prove the point on this one. I'm just going to throw out a few factors in there that I already know are absolutely something that they don't know, but they haven't done it yet, so they're not going to know about it. So when you're dealing with a for sale by owner, one of the first objections when they say, what is it that you do? The immediate question is, first takeaway of the show. Then first thing you immediately say is, hey, how many calls, texts, and emails would you say we get on the average deal? So you're going to ask the owner that, right? Now, I can promise you, they will not be within 90% close to what the correct answer is. Most owners would answer that question under 30. Okay? With all of those, by the way, text, emails, and calls. Truth is, the average is 275 to 350 types of confirmed messages we do on a normal deal. A smooth one. If it's a bad one that has hiccups, we easily approach 1,000 pieces of communication. Now, when you're talking to an owner, especially one that has a career, which this is the huge hypocrisy of this, because that's why we have the career, because our career is supposed to be centered around doing that. If you have another career, I'd love to know what your supervisor says about you handling 1,000 pieces of communication because you're trying to sell your home. Now, if your first inclination is to go, well, that's not true. I'm like, well, I don't think you're the one in position to say that. I think I'm going to go with the guy that's done it for 20 years. And I think I'm going to go with what he says. But that's the first mistake you make, is that you don't realize how many calls. And by the way, for any seller that we have, this goes for y'all too. Any of our agents right now who are dealing with the seller saying you don't do anything, or, I don't know why I have you. That's because we don't show you all the stuff that it is that we do, because we're shielding you from it. The reason why you have us is so you don't have to deal with that type of shit. And I did say shit. I normally try to stay cool on the radio with that, but it's true. It is shit. Most of it's horrible. And you're paying us so you don't have to deal with it.
Well, I mean, do a lot of people ask to represent themselves in court?
Yeah. Why would you want it? Believe me, it's the best money you ever spent. I don't even like doing it. It's my career.
Right.
I don't like hearing it. It's the worst part about my job. It's saving you from having to listen to it. So all the clients I've ever had, and I think most of the people that have ever had me as their agent. They understand and they know, and they don't have to ask me what the things is that I do. But anybody who ever even second guessed what the amount of work I did, how do you know? You weren't with me at 11:30, 12 o'clock, 2:30, 3 in the morning when I was responding. You weren't with me when I was telling an appraiser the technicalities of what they did and why they did it and why they didn't do it so we can save value on your house. You don't know. What right is it of you to sit there and tell me what I do? For anybody from the general public, for that matter, too. Where would you think that you have enough ground to tell us that we're not doing anything? Unless you're in our shoes and you're responding to all that stuff that we just talked about, you don't know. So here you are wanting to do a for sale by owner. That's a big mistake in itself. Just flat out saying, yeah, I can do this. This isn't a problem. Let's talk about some of the general ones. Just the stupid ones. Taking pictures. And Brent knows this well. Brent has a professional photographer as a wife. And for the most part, Brent's a professional photographer himself.
I outsource that.
Just by watching her. There are terrible mistakes that can be made in the photography of a home. You know, the first one that I love by for sale by owners, they take it with their iPhone. It's not a good idea. There are a lot of people whose first impression of your house is what they see on the internet. And if you take a picture of your house that's like scaled small or it's fuzzy, it gives them a very bad first impression. All right. It might sound stupid. You're already costing yourself money.
Yep.
There are several people who could have followed through whatever site that you put it on, which, by the way, that's the next one coming. You're not going to be on all the sites that you need to.
Nope, they'll put it on
And there
Zillow
you are
themselves.
taking pictures. Yeah. And Brent, what's some other things wrong of the million things when it comes to pictures? What's some other things that they do wrong?
In regards to pictures, I mean, they're in the picture.
That's
You
a
know, you
good
see
one.
them in the mirror.
Who else is in the picture a lot of times?
I mean, kids are in there.
Kids,
Dogs.
pets. There you go. Right.
Yep. You know, I mean, cars in the driveway, just horrible things. I've seen them to where they Photoshop the colors to make them different, which you can't do. And then
Here's
also,
a good one.
go ahead.
And this is a good takeaway for the agents who take their pictures. And this still amazes me to this day. And I still have to counsel a lot of my crew, even my veteran agents, on it as well. If you back up to a street or you back up to power lines, it's probably not a good idea to have the power lines in the pictures because some people don't like power lines. And now you can say that's deceitful by like trying to hide that. That's not true. There are some people who actually would like that house if they went in it and they would have gotten past that there was a power line there. But some other people wouldn't have gone into it because the power line was there. That's a very bad mistake when listing a house. I see houses that back up to major highways where they have the traffic light and the sign for one of the most major intersections right behind the house. I'm like, why would you do that?
Yep.
All right. Owners do this all the time because they're like, oh, look at our beautiful backyard. I'm like, yeah, you just cut off about 20,000 people that wanted that house because they don't want to be backed up to a major road. And if they had walked it, they might have found that the major road was not that big of an issue.
Well, how about
you might
how
have
about
found
sellers?
that wasn't a problem.
How many sellers on their own think that it's a good idea for them to get an inspection before they go on the market? I think a lot. You know, that's very common.
I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, I think it's a common.
It's amazing you know what I don't understand is where they do is where they do the
Oh, all right. Here we go again. All right. Well, I'm going to continue on my own train of thought. A lot of sellers think that before they hit the market, they need to go get an inspection. And while that makes sense, you'd think, oh, you want to know everything wrong with your house. But the problem is when the inspector finds all this stuff, you're responsible for those repairs. You're responsible to disclose everything that you found in that house. And that can cost you a lot of money later. So, you know, that's just a free little takeaway there is don't always just feel that you need to get an inspection. Let the buyer get the inspection. if we want to continue on pictures, I mean, we just talk about like people will change the colors of the room, people will cut out parts of the room. It's just you can take a beautiful house and make it look horrible with really bad pictures. So, people will try to save a little money here. They won't get good pictures. They think, oh, the market's great. And it's like, yeah, will your house sell? Yes. Will it sell for as much as you possibly thought it could? No. And that is where the whole core of this topic centers around. Trying to save a little bit of money here can save you a ton, or can cost you a lot of money in the long run. Trying to think of some of the other things that they do. We want to talk about, whoa, he's on the moon.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I've done this show for almost 3 years now. I have never had this type of technical difficulty with the Wi-Fi. It's on my phone. I don't know what the hell it is, and now I'm like this. So let me
Sorry,
try
I had
to
to
come back
screenshot
in.
you.
I apologize, but I don't know what the hell's going on with it. We've never had that all the time, and it's on my end. I don't know what it is, but let me get back out of this and try to get back in. Thanks, Brent, for taking that on.
Yeah. Hey, Mark, do you think we should go to Cat Daddy Radio? I think we need to change it. It's going to be my show now. He's too incompetent to run it. There. I love how you have that queued up. Where was I saying? Oh, another thing that sellers don't have access to necessarily are vendors, right? So if they want to they're like, hey, do you have a title company that you like? Or do you have an electrician that you like? Or do you have an air conditioner person that you like? That's something that they won't have access to, but we will. We have that. We also, when we do the listing presentation, we walk through the house and we really look through with a discerning eye on what things that need to get fixed before they hit the market. What is going to be unappealing for a buyer to look at, right? Like, oh, maybe, this crack you need to patch up. Maybe you need to fix this. We can point that out. But other things that sellers think are a big deal that they need to spend a ton of money on, we can actually guide them and say, that's not that big of a deal. Just leave it. You're not going to get that money back. So just don't worry about it. There are so many things on a listing or when you do a listing presentation that they don't even think. What about, how are they going to get the documents, right? How are they going to get the, how are they going to write the contract, which I'm sure is going to be a huge part of this conversation when Robert comes back in. How are they going to write the contract correctly? And that's going to be the biggest thing that we probably get to in this, is how the seller and the buyer write the contract correctly.
I apologize. Like I said, 3 years. I've never had that type of issue. I'm about to throw this through the window. But
awesome. I'm glad I'm going to see you later.
People on the show. Oh man, this is. Honestly, for me, that's what's always been so great about this show, is that the outlet that we go through KVGI Media, they're always right on the money with everything, and their stuff's perfect. It's rare that on our end we have problems with it. They're always so perfect, but God, I don't know what, I've never seen it do that. But thankfully, that's why we have two people on the show, especially with either of us who can run the show. So thank you for throwing that through. We were talking about pictures, and I heard you talking about contracts and how we're eventually going to get into that, and you're right, we are. Here's something else.
And we're talking about inspections too. I was saying that like sellers like to get an inspection before they go, and I was saying how that can be a big mistake for them.
So there you go. There's another thing that is considered an error. There's a lot of sellers that think that that's a smart thing to do because they want to know what's wrong, and some of them do it for greed. They're doing it so they can combat the buyer. But what they fail to realize is when they did that, now they have to disclose everything. And I can tell you right now, 99% of the sellers that do an inspection before, they do not share that inspection, which if someone called them out on it, they can get in a lot of trouble for that. So that's another one. That's a problem there.
You're still here.
Can you still hear me, or am I starting to fade out again?
No, I can hear you.
Am I starting to fade? Yeah, I saw you.
You're good.
I saw you freeze. And I'm like, he's not the one who's freezed. I'm the one who's doing it in there. I'm just trying to get through this today. Damn, this is horrible. Here, and something else. When we're talking about descriptions, this is one that a lot of people fail. Oh, God, I'm paused again.
No, you're not. You're
Brent,
good.
tell me you're there. You're back. All right.
Yeah, you're good.
So the other ones through are like in the description of the fair housing. A lot of people believe that they'll put something in a description, and it's not the legal part of what should be said. They're saying it incorrectly.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, that's a big one.
Well, look,
I'm
like
here.
how many people, a lot of people that are watching us right now, you can't, if you put in your description, actually this goes for a lot of agents as well, you're not allowed to use the word family in your description. A lot of you like to put family-oriented neighborhood, kids-oriented. That is against federal law. It's bad enough that we have to tell the sellers that. It's worse that we have to tell some of the agents that they don't realize it's against federal law. You can't say that. It's considered bias towards people who don't have kids.
Is that weird that we
You
write our
cannot do
contracts
that.
on the 1 to 4 family?
It's weird that we write it on a 1 to 4 family. You know, I asked Trek about that the longest time ago, and I never got a direct answer.
They have it.
That's a very good point to make. Yeah, what the hell is a 1 to 4 family contract if we're not allowed to say family in there? So that's a mistake that's commonly made amongst people out there. The internet exposure itself. Most people that go on for sale by owner, they will find a media outlet because they know they have to have one, but it's limited. They're not aware that almost all of those media outlets you see houses on are funneled through realtor organizations that they got that information from. Zillow, Realtor.com are all funneled through local MLSs. And obviously a for sale by owner doesn't funnel that way. So you're losing a huge amount of people that can see the house. Now, you might be of the opinion that you don't have to have that much. You might be of the opinion, so I don't need to have that many people looking at my house. But I think that that's a very poor assumption in you trying to sell your house if you actually believe that. So that's another thing that we have to deal with.
Yep.
Brent, am I still on there? Can you hear me?
I'm here. You're good. Everything's
I can't
good.
see you. You look like
Oh
you're
no.
high and I'm like
Great.
What's that?
That's fantastic. I'm glad. I can hear you clearly. You're good.
Yeah, you do. You look like you're sitting here like this. I know I'm probably coming in out, but you're just sitting right now. Your picture's like this.
That's normally how I watch the show. No, we're good.
Go ahead and talk to them since it looks like I'm kind of stuck right here. Talk about there you go. I got you right back in.
Yep.
Go through about comps. Start talking about how they struggle on comps.
Yeah. So when you're looking to sell your house, you need to find out how much you should list it for. And so where do you get the price that it sold for? Because, we're in non-disclosure state. So how do you get access to know what your neighbor sold their house for? Well, we pull it from the MLS. We have access to that. So I guess you're going to check your estimate. Are you going to ask your neighbor, hey, what'd you sell for? I don't even know how a seller would come up with that with a sales price.
And just so you know, I hear you coming in and out, so I get pieces of it, but I can't hear the whole thing. So I'm just listening to certain words. I'm on my end. I can't see hardly anything. I just have the worst connection I've ever had in doing the show. I don't know what in God's name is going on. It's on both of them. I don't know what's going on here, but
It's a dead zone. I can hear you fine.
It's my bad.
Yeah. Well, I can hear you fine. So yeah, I don't know how a seller would even come up with any comps to figure out where to list their house. I guess they would just look at what the people are listing for, what's active at, and then take a guess, And the problem is they're all hearing that the market's going through the roof. So then they're probably going to go list, $50K higher than their neighbors, and then they're not going to get it sold. And it's just a giant mess. Cool. Can you hear me, Robert? You still there? All right. Back to Cat Daddy Radio. I love you, Mark. So, there are dozens and dozens of things that can go wrong with listing your house. Let's talk about, so he mentioned a little bit about fair housing violations. People say stupid things. They just do. And when they go to list, they put in the listing description, they put in something just idiotic, we're talking about fair housing, Robert, when they put something just idiotic in the description, and to them it sounds fine, and you're like, oh my God, you're gonna get yourself in so much trouble. But if you don't have a realtor to advise you for these things, I mean, you're really just gonna shoot yourself in the foot. Oh, okay. So, yeah, Robert clearly can't hear me right now. So this this is awesome. I'm gonna buy him like a new router for his birthday. So okay, so we talked about fair housing. We talked about the inspections. Let's do negotiations, right? So the buyer who's probably represented by an agent has submitted an offer to the seller, and the seller looks it over and they say, well, okay, I need some advice. Is the option, or it says that the buyer accepts the house as is, because in 7D of the contract it says accepts as is. So they think, awesome, cool, all right, the house is sold. And then the listing agent or the buyer's agent says, well, we have our inspection coming up. And the seller goes, what do you mean? I thought it said as is. You're not going to do an inspection. Well, if you do it, and they go, no, we're doing an inspection. And they say, well, if you're doing an inspection, I mean, we're not doing any repairs. And they say, well, no, you signed the contract and there is an option period and there's an option fee tendered to you. So yes, we are doing an inspection. We have 7-10 days, or now it's 5, to be able to get that, get the inspection done and negotiate repairs with you. So that's something they don't know. When they look at it and they say, hey, this guy, they put down, $1,000 earnest money. Well, is that a good amount or is that a bad amount? It used to be about 1% was standard of the entire price, but now we're getting close to 2% just because of the market for the competitive multiple offers. How does your seller know if they're getting enough, or if the buyer has enough skin in the game in case they pull out of the deal? What if the buyer's agent makes mistakes on the contract and they put that the deal is going to close on a Saturday and they didn't look that up, or it's a weekend, or it's a holiday? There's so many times where the buyer's agent can screw up, and if the seller's agent doesn't have their own agent to look it over, then they're really going to be hurting later down the road. You there, Robert? We got you.
Hey, Brent, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
So look, it's obvious I can't get connection. I don't know what the problem is. I want you to finish the show up with the major point of talking about the price danger that a seller can exert right now. That if they think they're getting a good deal on something that's like $500K when they probably could have made $600K.
Yeah.
Talk about how far off they can be and compare it to paying a real estate agent $12,000 to $15,000 when they're losing $100,000. That is a valid point that's happening today.
Yep. No, that's huge. I'll use my neighborhood as an example. So last year, I refied my house. It appraised at $377 back in July. Well, I know for a fact that if I were to sell it today, I'd be able to get $525. All of that in less than a year. Now, if you were selling by owner, you'd probably look at the recent. Well, you can't see recent sold, so you see what some of the houses are on the market at, and you think, oh, okay, mine's gone up to maybe. If I looked at what they're asking, I'd say, oh, I'm going to list my house at around $460 because that's where it should be based on the homes that are active on the market. But I've reached out to those listing agents. I've seen the recent solds and I see what's coming up. So I know that if I, as an agent, were to sell my house, I can get way more because I know that it will sell for $525 to $530. But if I wasn't seeing the sold prices, only saw the active because there's multiple offers, and which drive the homes way up. So, if I were to list my house as an owner and not being an agent, I'd probably list it at $460. So, I mean, right there, that's $70K difference, right? And, the point of paying a commission, you'd probably pay 10 grand, 12 grand for that, maybe a little more, up to 15. Okay, you don't want to pay 15 to get 70. That's not very good math, So I think when you say your realtor doesn't do anything, I mean, that's a valid point if they're not good, right? And I think there's in every industry, there's people that leave a bad taste in the consumer's mouth. And with real estate agents, if you get one that's not good and they don't communicate, then you're going to have that view of them as not contributing anything to the deal. And why don't you just save your money? So I think that is where that bias has come from. And until you get yourself a really good agent who knows what they're doing and knows how to work the way through the entire transaction and actually net you the most money, and not even just the most money, the best situation possible, then you won't know what you're missing out on. When you get that good agent that can, in this market, and you need a good one, because like I said earlier, anybody can get your house sold, but the best agents are the ones that are going to get your house sold for the most amount of money, get you your home sold on the terms that you want, shield you from dealing with the other any of the other issues that are coming down the road. They try to just block that and make the home selling process as easy as possible. We all know selling your house is not fun. It really sucks. And we try to make it just a little bit less sucky, which I think that would be a great tagline. If you want to learn more about what we do, as you know, maybe you want to become an agent, head to joinswr.com. Or if you were thinking about selling your house, you want to speak to one of us, I'd love to talk to you too. Our numbers are on there. Head to joinswr.com, text, call, email, anything that you need. And we would love to show you how using a high quality, well-trained agent can make you a lot more money than doing it on your own, or by going for an agent that doesn't know what they're doing. So, all right, guys, I want to thank everybody for bearing with us with the technical difficulties. This has not happened before, but it's okay. We pushed through it. Life never goes through smoothly, but we just push forward. I'm sure Robert will be back next week with some sort of satellite phone or something wild to make sure that never happens again. I will see him in about an hour and a half, and we'll see if he's going to be a big grump because this didn't work out well. So pray for me. And thanks, guys. I will see you next week. And thanks, Mark.